Welcome to Paint Ed. PCA provides painting contractors with connections they need to grow their business. To find out more and to become a member, visit pcapainted.org. Find more great content just like this on PCA Overdrive. A subscription to the platform is included with membership. For all you non-members out there, sign up for a free trial. PCA Overdrive is available on the App Store and Google Play. This episode is brought to you by Pittsburgh Paints and Bear.
If I'm selling you on coaching, you might not really be ready to change. Now, maybe we talk about something that sparks an idea and you realize there's more out there and you want to explore that. Typically, we want to make sure people are coachable and they're actually willing and ready to make that change.
Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Business Advice Podcast. My name is Michelle Dambrowitz, and I am officially taking over the Elite Business Advice Podcast. So I have a quick story. I met Chris back in 2023 on an airplane ride to the PCA Expo. We happened to be seated beside each other, and I was traveling with my friend Stephanie, and we met Chris for the first time. None of us had ever met each other before. We just happened to be seated together. And fun little story, Chris got on the plane, and right before he boarded the plane, as we were discussing, I found out that he had been asked at the last minute if he could do a presentation, which I believe was going to be the first full day of Expo, so the next day, because someone had to cancel. So Chris got on this plane with the intentions of being able to work on his presentation throughout the flight, be able to get that all dialed in and stuff. But he made the mistake of sitting with Stephanie and myself, who then, as we got chatting, took up the entire plane ride, asking him questions, us all getting to know each other. And I will say we did stop multiple times during that, and we're like, oh, we need to leave you alone. We need to let you work on your presentation. And I remember Chris, being the cool guy that he is, just being like, oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. I'm fine. I can figure this out later. I'm having more fun chatting with you both. And you were just open, honest, willing to share information, answer questions. I believe you ended up sharing a document with Stephanie, but I just really appreciated you and getting to know you. And so I'm excited that from that flight, that we have just become friends and gotten to know each other over the years. And you're just a really cool guy. So I'm excited to be here with you today. So we're here on episode 52 and wrapping up the year on season 5 of EBA podcast. So I recently asked Chris if he had ever been interviewed on his own show before. And he said, Michelle, that's a great idea. Let's do this. Do you want to do it? And of course, I was like, yeah, because I'm a question asker. And so here we are. I am the very first ever guest host on the Elite Business Advice Podcast. And I'm excited to be here. And I wanted to do this partly because it's one thing for a podcaster to interview another podcaster. And I know you've done other podcasts for different people and that sort of thing, but I'm a contractor. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not an interviewer. I'm a contractor. And I just wanted to ask questions, from a business owner and a contractor about, being a business coach. And Chris was all on board. So I've got Chris in the hot seat today with a bunch of questions to grill him. And this should be fun and hopefully not the last time that you ever have a guest host on your podcast. So I hope this helps. Thanks for plugging in. This is the Elite Business Advice Podcast. Chris, welcome to your own show. And thank you for agreeing to do this with me. I appreciate it.
already loving this so much, actually. Like when I said you were the perfect person to do this, I meant that. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm excited for this. Thank you for the kind words. I remember that flight very intently. I remember the phone call from Maggie Kuiper as we were boarding the flight about speaking at that expo. And not just did she want me to speak, but she wanted me to take two different talks and smash them together into one talk. And yeah, I did it in the hotel that night because I was enjoying conversation with you and Stephanie too much. And we're there to serve, and we made it all work. It was fun. And now I've gotten to know Maggie and Matt. I actually didn't know Maggie until that expo.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then and
The rest
Stephanie
is
as well.
history.
Like we've
Yep.
gotten to
Yeah, I
know
didn't
it
know.
all.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yep. I knew of
that's
Maggie and
awesome.
Matt, but I didn't really know who they were. But like her leading the education that year, and then that whole experience kind of like started bringing us together. And one thing led to another, and here we are. So
That's awesome. A whole
yeah,
bunch of relationships formed that year. That's
yes,
awesome.
it's like that's what PCA is all about. So
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
All right, what do you got for me?
So I have some questions for you. And essentially, I remember asking you this on that plane ride. So, what does a business coach like? What do you do as an actual business coach? And who do you serve? Obviously, you're involved with like painting contractors in the
Yep.
the paint world, but is that all you serve? I don't understand. Like, so what do you do?
Yep. What do we do? So to answer your second question first, yes, we work with painting contractors, very niched into this industry. That's not to say that we won't work or haven't worked with other trades businesses, home service businesses, right? Anybody that works with residential homeowners, kind of all falls into the same category, just, different industry, right? So we've had some different clients throughout the years that we've helped with very specific problems or just ongoing coaching with. So it's not to say that we won't, but our main focus is on painting contractors. Myself, our whole team, we've all had that experience. And that tends to be the area that we find ourselves being kind of, I guess, the experts in, for lack of a better term. But what does a business coach do? That's a great question. My mother-in-law asked me that when I started this journey in 2018. And honestly, what I can say is a business coach is somebody that is there to help look out for you. They're able to look ahead for you. And they're able to help you get where you want to go in your business or whatever. I guess in this case, it is a business coach, not a life coach. So I'll take the personal side out of it. But we do want people to develop as human beings as well. So we mostly are here to, that's why I tell people, we want to take you from where you're at to where you want to go in your business. Whatever that looks like, whatever that journey looks like, we'll help lay out the roadmap. We'll help provide the resources. We'll help provide the accountability and the thought structure. And how do we actually do this and implement it? We're kind of here every step of that journey to go from wherever it is you are to wherever it is you want to go and kind of bridge that journey with you.
That's awesome. And one thing I learned too is that you also pick up on the things that were just completely missing. Like you fill in the gaps
Yep.
and just help to lead people in the right direction.
Yeah, we try our
Um,
best to.
so can people or can a company actually outgrow a business coach?
I mean, I think in some cases, yes. I think it depends. When we started this journey many years ago, we really were kind of specific to the like $1 million and under revenue businesses. We didn't have a lot of the supporting resources. We didn't have a lot of the systems. We didn't have a lot of the structure. I didn't have an extended team at the time that really could serve people at those higher level businesses, right? So I would honestly say many times in years past, like you'd even outgrow us potentially, right? Where we really felt like we could be the best, fit for you. And over time, we've been able to adapt to that. We have 3 different packages now for clients. We kind of have like a foundations package for people that are under the 750K in revenue range, $1 million. It's not an exact line, right? But just as a rough kind of frame of point. And then different packages as you're growing and building out your leadership team and you're bringing on your first project manager, office manager, estimator. You need a whole nother level of thinking and coaching and support at that stage, right? And then there's the stage where you're duplicating that, right? If you're wanting to go beyond $3 million or $2 to $3 million and beyond, you are bringing on multiple project managers, maybe even an operations manager, right? So we've really grown over the years as far as the people we can serve. A lot of that's the talent we've brought on board and the time that we've just needed to build out the things that our clients need at those different stages. But so I think it just depends on the business coach, I guess maybe is a better way to answer that. Some people are like us, and I would say even to this point, like at the 5 million range, we top out there. If you want to go to 10, we're not the best fit for you, right? If there's specific things we can help with, some clients, we really get into a finance and kind of tax strategy role with them. At that stage, a little less coaching, a little more like very niche into a piece of their business. We'll be the first to tell you that, right? And so I think it just depends on the business coach themselves and what their capability is and what the results are they've been able to achieve with clients at those different stages, right? Just because somebody says they can serve somebody this level doesn't mean that they can do it well and actually be helpful.
Right. And like, so as a company is growing and you are branching into and touching the other, like the different positions and stuff like that,
Yep.
you're able, like as a business coach, you can see some of the needs, but you have a large like Rolodex of
Yeah.
relationships and companies and all
Yep.
of that sort of thing. You're able to help um, refer or
Yep.
tell people that they might need to look at other certain companies for specific
100%.
things as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we've got great relationships with a couple of them out there. It was actually great. I got to spend some time with some of them here at some of the fall PCA events and stuff too. And yeah, I think it's, we've all realized we kind of do things a little bit differently. There's some crossover, there's some similarities. Yes, we're competition, if you will, but we kind of see it just as the collaborative environment if you were going to lunch with another painting contractor in Bowling Green, Kentucky, right? Yeah, technically we're competitors, but at the end of the day, we can all work together, right? In some regards.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll always be typically the first person to tell them if somebody's outgrowing us and we don't feel like we can help.
That's cool. And so, like, kind of based on that, one thing I learned as a painting contractor, and it took me a little while to figure this out, but one thing I learned is that it's okay for me to say no to clients. Just because they ask me doesn't mean I have to work with them for them. How do you
I'm so
decide, like, if
proud
a
of you.
client, it took me a while. I'm a people pleaser, so it took me a while to realize that. But like, how do you decide if a client is the right fit for you?
Yeah, so I think the couple of things that we look at, number one, are they coachable and are they willing to change?
Mm,
That is a really big one for us, and it kind of even details into the marketing plan that we have and you know, why we don't actively chase people, why we don't have a sales department and like all of this stuff, right? Is because if I'm selling you on coaching, you might not really be ready to change. Now, maybe we talk
mm,
about something that sparks an idea and you realize there's more out there and you want to explore that. But typically we want to make sure people are coachable and they're actually willing and ready to make that change, right? And maybe the timing's not right now, but now you know for down the road and when that would be the right time, and that's great. So I think that's one big thing that we really kind of look for. Like, are they willing to change? Are they open to new ideas? Do they seem coachable? And then the other thing is, do we feel like we can actually help them get from where they're at to where they want to go, right? As we talked about
mm,
that. There's been plenty of people we've sat down, we've had a conversation with, and we've said, like, hey, I don't think this is the right fit from our point of view. Like, I'm not
okay.
100% confident we can help you. Or maybe it's hey, I feel really good that we can help you with this problem or this project or this thing that you need to work through, but we're not able to probably help you with the other 80% of stuff, right? So if you want to work on this, we can do this. Maybe it's a 3-month long thing we do. Great. So again, I think it's just knowing like where we feel like our capacity is and our confidence level. The last thing we want to do, I mean, I take a lot of pride in our reputation.
Mm,
And I feel like we've done pretty well with that over the years. I feel like even as we've grown and we've built out our team and we've navigated that whole nother level of being a business, right? Of duplicating beyond me. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that. And if anybody's listening to this and feels otherwise, please let me know. I guess it's our podcast still that I'm doing this on, but with that being said, like we take a lot of pride in that. And so we don't want to do something that might tarnish that, right? We don't want to say, oh yeah, we can totally help you. And then we just fall flat on our face, right? Like that's not what we're trying to do. So I think if we can navigate the challenges they have and we feel very confident, we've helped people go through this before, no problem. We know what to do. Obviously, it's up to them to put in the work, but that's kind of some of the things we look for in those free analysis calls.
hmm And that's one thing I actually love about you guys is that you're not like the slimy salesman trying to like pitch to you and that you're there just as naturally a good guy and willing to help and offer or give advice or whatever, but that you're not like only about getting them as a client and signing them on no matter what, that you
Yep.
kind of take those things into consideration. And I love that
I appreciate that.
you have some standards as
Yeah,
well.
we do. We do.
Uh,
And I mean, we have a very, very high retention. I shared on it on a social media post recently about that. And I think the number was like almost like right at 70% of our clients are still with us a year later. And I think it's because we are a little bit selective up front. And I would even argue that maybe 20 of those other 30% maybe weren't really the right fit, but we were willing to take a chance on them, or we were upfront and honest with them, or again, they just were the people that we thought were coachable that weren't coachable, that self-selected themselves out. So so yeah, and that is what it is, right? But I think we take a lot of pride in that. We don't have a really high churn rate, as a lot of people will say in that relation. And it's because we are a little bit more selective, and we're not the slimy salespeople just trying to sign people up and hope that they stick and that it works out for the best, right? Like we take a lot of pride in
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. And I also love and thought it was interesting that, like, so obviously, if they're hiring on a coach, a lot of them are going, obviously, the majority are going to be long-term coaching, but
Yep.
then some you do some smaller,
hmm
short-term, kind of specific goal-oriented coaching
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Yep. Yeah. If there's something we can help with that makes sense for us, we're always open to that conversation.
That's awesome. So, on that note, have you ever fired a client?
I get
And
this
if
question a
so,
lot. Yeah,
do you?
I do.
Tell us. Tell us.
Yeah, so there was this one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not using specifics. No, we have actually, and as weird as it is to say, we kind of take pride in that too, along with our reputation, and it's because of the reputation that we hold so dearly to our hearts. Yeah, I mean, there's been a handful of times over the years that somebody's just not working out. They're not putting the work into it. They're not coachable. They say they're willing to change, but they're not actually willing to change or to do
Right.
things differently or to look at things differently. And it kind of gets to a point where it's just kind of like, hey, what are we doing? Right? Like,
Yeah.
we
For
appreciate the
sure.
revenue you're bringing in for us. Like, fantastic. But there's a lot of times that they're actually holding a spot that somebody else could have,
Mm,
right?
that's
As
a good
we
way of
juggle
thinking.
the constant capacity versus, clients juggle with, our team growing and everything. I mean, we don't want to overextend ourselves, right? And so sometimes we may go on a waiting list, or we may say, hey, we can't onboard for 2 months. And people understand that. But sometimes those clients that aren't actually getting anything out of it are actually keeping spots from other people. And
Mm,
so a lot of times we initiate those conversations, and it's not a, hey, we're firing you, goodbye. Like, it's kind of a, hey, listen, we just don't feel like this is working. And a lot of times they'll be like, yeah, we kind of agree with you, and it is what it is,
yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
we always want to try to beat them to that conversation if we can, in the sense of, if it's just not going well, we don't want to just drag it on and just keep collecting money, because it is taking up time in our schedule too. And we just don't want to be that company.
Right. No, that's a great way of thinking about it. Like, who could you be helping
Yeah,
instead? Like,
that's
yeah.
exactly it. Yep.
Like, so if somebody's a contractor in a business, like, at what point should they hire a coach, or like, how do they know if they need a coach or if they're ready for a coach, or
Yep.
how do you
So
know?
I just had a call with somebody this morning that was exploring the idea of working with the coach, right?
Hmm.
And so it's funny that you asked that. If we would have recorded this last week, I might have had a different answer. But I think, like, the conversation I had with them was, they know that something needs to change. They know that there's a lot of great education out there, but they need somebody that can kind of help work specifically with them and walk them down that path. What do they
Mm,
need to work on? What's most
mm,
important? What are the blind spots they're missing that they don't even
hmm
realize, as you mentioned earlier,
hmm
right? And they're very willing to change, because they know that what they're doing got them here, but it won't get
hmm
them there, which is where they're trying to go, right? And so they've realized the benefit of just having an outside perspective, somebody with the industry experience, and they're just looking for someone that can kind of help be that person to get them where they want to go. But that's the thing for us is, again, they're willing to change, they're ready to make that leap, and they're committed to putting some time into it as well. That's, I think, a big one. It's sometimes we know we need to change. We know that what got us here won't get us there, but we might not be willing to put in the work or to time block out. I mean, honestly, Michelle, we talk maybe an hour or two a week, right? Like if you can at least dedicate an hour or two a week to spending some time working on your business, we can make progress with that. You're right. The more time, the more progress. That's fine. The quicker we can implement change. But if you can at least just put an hour or two a week into spending some time working intentionally on your business, understanding your numbers, working on marketing, whatever the things are, right? We can chip away at stuff pretty quickly over 6 to 12 months. So are you willing to figure out how to make that hour or two a week work? Or do you not have the capacity for that? And hopefully we can help you identify how to make the capacity for it, but are you at least willing to explore that?
Right. So on the reverse side of that, like obviously people not willing to change and those who are not coachable and that sort of thing are not ideal for a business coach.
Yep.
But are there people that just don't need a coach? Like, do you think everyone could use a coach?
I personally feel like everybody needs a coach in life. There's a book actually with that title. I think his name was Jamie Betchler. I don't even remember how I found this book, but it's called Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. And obviously it's easy for me to be a little biased in saying that, but I truthfully believe, and I've talked about this with a lot of people, like if you look at pretty much anybody I know that's a high performer, successful individual, they all have coaches or a coach in their life, right? Whether it's a business coach, whether it's a personal coach, a life coach, again, coach is a very vague word these days, but just somebody that's a mentor looking out for them, right? Because we all have gaps in our life. We all have weaknesses. Sometimes we realize it and we can go to a problem and identify it and say, we need help with this. And sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes we just know we're missing something and we have no idea what it is. And I think a coach can help you figure that out, right? So maybe the better way to answer that is, I think there's different seasons for different coaches in life. Maybe sometimes there's a season to be very tactical and work on systems and, the nitty gritty, understanding numbers and that side of things. And then there's going to be other times where you get to a good spot where it's like, okay, we've got the systems in place. We've got the people. Now we just need the big picture. We need the strategy, or we need the life coaching, or we need something else, right? But in my mind, and I think I can answer that from everybody I can think of that I would consider successful as an entrepreneur in any industry, not just even this one. Everybody has some sort of a coach, mentor, somebody in their life that they, have regularly scheduled structured meetings with. Right.
No, I like that. And like, if you think of it, those who are goal oriented, once you reach that goal, they're going to always want to have the next goal. So to be able to do that. And the way you were just saying that made me think of too, really like a business coach is an auditor of your business. You're going to just help go through all the little bits and help you people figure out where they might need to focus. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I think that, we talk a lot about like lifestyle business, right? Like even some people are just happy at 6 painters and you can produce $700,000 a year. You can sell enough work. You can manage 6 painters. And that works great for people. I would still entertain the idea of having a coach in some capacity, right? We've got some of our clients that, we worked through a lot of stuff with over the years and we've got them to that point and we just do a monthly check-in maintenance, blind spot, just checkup, right? Just once a month, right? Instead of meeting twice a month like we do with most of our clients or 4 times a month with some of the ones that are really trying to move fast. Hey, let's just do a once a month check-in, right? And we kind of customize a package for them. Again, we don't usually offer those right out of the gate with people just because once a month we don't make a lot of progress with things. But if somebody's been with us for a year or two and they just kind of need that monthly check-in at that point, we'll be flexible and cater something that makes sense, right? So I would say even people that are in that lifestyle business, kind of area that may not need anything extra to grow, Still doesn't hurt to have somebody just looking out for you and identifying some weaknesses or some gaps or just making sure everything stays on track. In my opinion, that's money and time well spent.
Right. Well, and just kind of funny how you feel a little bit more accountable for getting things done or making some, things happen when you're going to be having somebody's going to ask you where you're at with things. So
That it's amazing how many of them will still say, "Oh, I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning catching up on my job costing last night." Like, okay, well, I'm glad that this accountability still makes things happen because it's necessary. So
yeah. So I do have a question though. Like, so, okay, we're talking about those people. What about somebody who's new in business? Like new, like as in just trying to get things up and going and all of that. Is there a benefit for them getting a coach like off the get-go, or do you need them to be more established or like?
So, in my personal opinion, I think the sooner you have a coach, the sooner you can kind of get on the right track and get the right things in place. Because what not having a coach can do is it can create bad habits, or you try to figure it all out yourself when a coach would have shortened that learning curve, saved you a lot of money and or whatever, right? And so no, I think it's important to probably even do it. It's probably almost more important to do it then than it is later on down the road, if I'm being honest, just to get off to the right track. And that's honestly why we started a group coaching program called Launch earlier this year. I didn't even have you tee this up, so thanks for just letting this naturally happen. But it's why we started our Launch group coaching earlier 2 months ago, was to be able to give a price point that was budget friendly for people in that earlier stages of business. Whether you're brand new to business, we've got a couple of clients that are literally launching their business like this month and next month. And they've started kind of going through this to get the foundation and business plan in place. Or they're people that have been in business for a while that just are ready to finally make that change, right? And finally to stop working by themselves, or maybe it's them and one or two painters, right? It's kind of geared for the contractors under, I say 500,000 in revenue, just because it is more those foundations to lay for your business. But we created that to where we can have people and make it a little bit more affordable. And we found a model that seems to work well, price point to the consumer, but also works for our business as well. And they still get like a 15-20 minute one-on-one check-in with Ted, who's one of our advisors running the groups right now. So you still get that one-on-one kind of feel a little bit every month, but and then obviously there's, podcasts and stuff out there too. But I would say the sooner you have a coach, even if it's in a group setting like that, just to lay the right foundation, to get on the right track, to get a little bit of one-on-one coaching with, I think the better.
Yeah, I really could have benefited from that.
I mean, I kick myself. Like I look back, I mean, I have a coach. Actually, I have two different coaches right now for kind of two different things in our business. And I look back on it and kind of wish I would have started it 3, 4, 5 years sooner.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's amazing. That's awesome that, you can kind of reach out to those people because, yes, having those foundations in place and saving all of that time and just blood, sweat, and tears a little, or at least a little bit of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
But
yes. No.
But so
no.
People who say they can't afford the coach right now, that sort of thing would be.
Yeah. So what I would say on that is, I mean, there's a financial investment no matter what. We've tried to make ours as affordable as possible. I understand there's a reality behind it. I would question a couple of things on this. Number one, can you truly not afford it? Or are you just telling yourself you can't afford it because you don't want to spend the money on it? And that to me will always tell me how serious somebody is about changing and growing in their business. And now granted, there might be a point where you really can't afford it. And I respect that. And we've all probably been there at different points in our businesses, right? So I get that. I get the reality. I'm not trying to minimize that, but I always want to make sure people that it's not like a limiting belief, right? Because it's like, well, how bad do you want it, right? Do you want to give up the Starbucks every day? Because the math checks out, right? So how bad do we really want it? But if not, I mean, that's why we have this podcast. Like this podcast kind of was birthed out of wanting to create a system of resources that we could point people to for education, whether that's clients or people we meet in the industry that are like, hey, we really want to, we heard you say this before. We want to know more about it. Hey, check out this podcast episode, right? But also for people that maybe can't afford a coach yet, right? How can we disseminate some information to at least give them the education they need to try to put them on the right path until they can get there? I know our goal internally, and it's really hard to measure, but our goal internally is like, we want to make sure we're at least paying for ourselves on a month by month basis by like the end of 90 days. And if by the end of 90 days, we haven't figured out how to pay, for ourselves by, growing your business, making your profits better, or, cutting expenses that aren't needed, then let's revisit on how we're actually helping you. Right. And again, sometimes maybe it's not us, maybe it's them, but we want to just like, that's kind of an internal goal for our team. And again, it's really hard to measure, like, are we there? But we kind of get a pretty good feel like, hey, this person's making X amount of dollars more per month since they started working with us. Okay, we're paying for ourselves. Everything on here is like icing on the cake, and obviously we want to grow that as much as we can. So
I love that you are tracking yourself in other people's businesses to make
100%.
sure that you guys are doing what you feel you're there to do, and to
Yep.
that you're
And that's what
paying
leads into
for.
those conversations of letting clients go. If we feel like it's 90 days and we're like, nothing's
Right.
changed, like, we'll at least start having those conversations.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I like also too that you said the limited belief. It's like the people that have to think of, like, it's okay. I'm allowed to invest in myself and my
Yeah.
goal of my business.
Yep.
And I love that you all stand behind that. So
Yep. We try to.
um, you mentioned like you have some of your different groups and your
Yep.
coaches and stuff like that. So how do the elite business advisors, like, how do you oversee your team, or like decide what clients are going to work with what coaches, or how you're
Yep.
going to go about doing it?
Yeah, I just do what most painting contractors do and just throw everybody out in the ocean and hope they sink, or hope they swim. No. Honestly, it was something that we had to figure out and work on over the years, right? As we had our first couple of advisors and we were figuring out how do we grow EBA beyond just myself. It was a feeling out process. Like when many of the people listening to this hire that first painter or that first project manager, that first office person, right? You don't actually know what you need until you get into it. Again, having a
Right.
coach helps alleviate that. And again, maybe why I wish we would have hired one of our current coaches a little bit sooner, but timing and everything works out the way it's supposed to. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing we try to put some structure in place is I try to have a weekly one-on-one with all of our advisors. So all of our full-time advisors, I have a weekly one-on-one meeting every single week in my calendar to just sit down and talk through their clients and everything what's going on, right? Who are we worried about? Check in on everybody. Our part-time advisors, depending on their client load, will meet at least once a month, just because obviously wouldn't need the same frequency. So having just kind of some structured time to sit down and like get myself in their clients' businesses a little bit and just make sure that there's nothing missing, that I don't have another idea or something else that they should be thinking about. I also try to check in with our clients usually after their first 30 days. I have our CRM built to where automations happen, which is really nice to remind me about those things. And then try to every 90 days after that. I love seeing some of our clients at like the fall PCA events. That was a great time to reconnect with some of the people working with some of our other coaches and advisors.
Right.
And so I try to keep in touch with people every 90 days. Just, hey, how's it going? Like, what are we missing? What can we do? How's it going with your advisor? Like, and obviously, thankfully, most of the time I get great. We love him. They're helpful. And that's what we want to hear. Right. But I want to keep my pulse on that, because I'll be the first person to admit, like in the early stages of our growth, I wasn't great about that. And I hated it, right? I hated
Right.
that some of our clients I didn't really get to know a whole lot. So, and then the last thing we tried to do is create some sort of a framework that our advisors can use. And so we called it the PAINT framework. I stole a Michael Chaney acronym here on this one, but so we created the PAINT framework that our advisors go through once a month with all of our clients. And it kind of fast tracks those one-on-one conversations, because I can review their answers to the 5 categories in that framework to kind of get a good understanding where all their clients are before we head into that one-on-one meeting. So that's been super helpful as well.
That's cool. And I love that, like, it sounds like, your group of people, coaches, essentially you
Yep.
guys can bounce ideas or
Yep.
conversations and things off of each other, and
Yep. Yeah.
um That's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're gonna have our own office next summer, and we'll have at least the three of us that'll be full time at that point together. And I'm so excited about that. So
That's awesome.
we'll still have some of our part-time advisors that'll be virtual, and that's great. And we're working through that culture and how do we structure things. But I'm really excited to at least have a few of us together in an office by this time next year. So
That's awesome. That's
yep.
awesome. I love it. There's growth
Yes.
all around. So do you have
Yep.
you mentioned you have your own coach. So like
Yes.
you say two coaches?
Two different
Or
coaches. Yes. Yeah. So one of them is a group coach program that I'm a part of. It's with Dan Martell. He wrote the book Buy Back Your Time, and has really blown up a lot on social media and YouTube here the last couple of years. But he's got a great group coaching program that I started in January of this year. It happened to be called Elite. I just felt like it was meant to be when he had reached out about it. But that's been super helpful in kind of a lot of different ways. Some personally for me, but really helpful to see how he coaches people on these calls, which is really nice. But also really helpful from a systems and framework perspective. Like he's big into systems and like creating frameworks and just buying back your time. And so that's been really helpful for me to think through our business a little more systematically, building out playbooks for positions and stuff like that. And then I have another coach that I do one-on-one meetings with twice a month, just like we do with our people. And that's been really helpful just to give us kind of some one-on-one, advice, another perspective of thinking. We were talking this morning on our call about our 2026 marketing plan, and he had a couple ideas, one that was pretty far out there, but may not be unrealistic. And just other things, right? Hey, here's what I'm thinking. What am I missing? Right. And he came up with a couple of good thoughts, and I was like, all right, this is good. We can kind of tweak our plan heading into next year. So, having multiple coaches isn't a bad thing if they're kind of designed to work through different things, if that makes sense. And this works well being the group coach program, and having those weekly calls, and they get recorded. So if I have to miss one, I can get in and watch what was covered. But then having the other one that's one-on-one, that's a non-negotiable in my calendar. So.
Right. That's awesome. And I love that essentially, you're having others help you audit your own business to make sure you're not missing anything, and that you're not that you're bringing the best that you can bring to your clients and stuff. It's kind of all a loop. That's awesome.
It is. It is.
It is. Well, I appreciate you sitting in the hot seat and sharing all of this information and answering all my questions, and always being so honest and forthcoming and willing to help and give back to others. I really love that about you and what your business is doing. So if someone's interested in working with you and your team, how do they find you or reach out to you, or give us your information?
Best thing to do is just go to our website, go to elitebusinessadvisors.com. There's a button that says schedule an analysis meeting. We do free business analysis meetings with anybody that wants to explore working with us, just to sit down, get to know them, get to know those challenges. Again, where are they? Where do they want to go? We'll kind of share what that looks like to work with us and what you can expect and stuff. So that's the easiest way to do it. You can always shoot me an email, chris@elitebusinessadvisors.com. So I appreciate you. Thanks for doing this.
That's awesome. Thank you. I hope this is not the last time you ever let a guest host come. I hope I didn't
do anything to ruin it. So I don't know who the next one will be. It might be you again, but nothing bad happened. We will have another guest host at some point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thanks for plugging into this week's episode. I hope you're able to take a few nuggets away from it to implement into your business. Remember, knowledge without implementation is useless. If you're curious about what we do and how we help painting contractors all over North America, schedule a free business analysis meeting with us at www.elitebusinessadvisors.com. Our entire team of advisors have ran and managed painting companies just like myself and are here to help support you on your journey. We have packages available for contractors at every stage of business, from flying solo and just starting out, all the way to multi-million-dollar businesses. And lastly, if you loved this episode, please leave us a rating and a review. It helps others on the platform find our podcast, and it could be the best blessing that's ever happened to them thanks to you. Thanks for plugging in, and we'll see you back for next week's episode.
Paint Ed podcasts are produced by the Painting Contractors Association and are made possible by members and industry partners. To find out more about the upcoming educational opportunities or for more information about joining the PCA, visit pcapainted.org.